Does anybody work here?
Gotta pick up them shovels?
They was like that when I came in. But, I'll pick them up for you.
Yeah, why don't you do that?
Are you that small engine guy?
You are correct. I'm the small engine guru.
Well, I was wondering if you could look at this garden scratcher for me.
Did you happen to find any dinosaur bones next to this thing when you dug it up?
No, why?
This thing's pretty old.
The guy I bought it from says it's from 2002. It's not that old.
Yeah? Try 1970.
What? He said he got it at Lowe's back in 2002.
Well, he's fibbing, because it's from 1970.
Oh, I knew he was lying.
But I can fix it. I can get it going.
I'm not in any sort of rush for it, so take your time. But I need it back as soon as possible, alright?
Okay.
And, fix whatever it needs. Money's not an issue. But I'm on a fixed income, so make it as cheap as possible.
Yeah, I can do that. I can fix it, and then you're going to give me some of your income. Not funny, huh?
No, you're not a comedian, so just fix it, alright?
Okay, what name am I putting this under?
Put it under Scruffy.
Okay, Scruffy. I'll call you when it's ready.
So you have a nice day there then, sir, alright? Oh, and one other thing.
What's that?
You're gonna change the oil on there, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna check everything over. I'll check it all over. I'll
right.
change the oil.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Well, you have a nice day then, sir.
Alright, you too. Bye, Scruffy.
Alright, see you later. And one other thing.
What's that, Scruffy?
I think this cable's broke. See if you can look at that too.
Alright, yeah, I'm gonna fix everything. I told you, I'm gonna make sure everything works.
Alright, good. You better.
Alright.
So you have a nice day there, sir.
Okay, bye, Scruffy. You have a nice day, too.
Alright, see you. Oh, and one other thing.
What's that?
I think that air filter's bad. See, you can look at that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over the whole thing. I'll
Okay.
check it all out, make sure everything works.
Okay, great. Alright. Nice day. You have one of those.
Okay, bye, Scruffy.
Alright, I'll catch you later.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Lock the store before Scruffy comes back again. What a weirdo. Pterodactyl here, and today's how-to video is going to be on this here Scruffy's tiller. This is a 1970 Hahn Eclipse tilter, or what he called it, a garden scratcher. That's what he called it. Okay, so the first thing I normally do is see if it's got any oil in it. And it's pretty low, and it kind of looks like tar. So I'm going to top that off. Then the next thing I'm going to do is see if it'll pull over. It feels like it's got compression. So then I'm going to check for sparks. Make sure it ain't touching no metal. So it's got no spark. This is an old mower or an old engine, Briggs engine that's got points condenser. So I've showed you before in other videos how to replace points condenser, and I showed you how to upgrade it to a new electronic ignition coil. So on this one, I'm going to show you how to install Briggs's Magnetron ignition kit. This was a kit they made before they came out with the electronic ignition coils. You would add this kit to convert your existing coil to electronic ignition. So we're gonna install this. And then another thing, I could tell it's got compression just by pulling it, because I've been doing this so long, but I'm just gonna put a compression gauge in there for y'all so you can just see. Now another thing you'd always want to check when you're checking spark is to make sure the kill wire isn't grounding out, because that could be why you don't have spark either. But I'd already checked that and it wasn't touching, so I knew it wasn't the switch. So it's got about 90 pounds. That should be enough to start. So the first thing we're going to want to do is get spark to it. Then we'll hit it with a little go juice and see if it'll pop over. Now this carbatrator on this here Briggs model has got their auto choke system. Now they've come up with a lot of auto choke systems over the year. So this one's got an auto choke. See, it's already in the choke position. It doesn't have a manual choke. See how it automatically closes? So that's a good sign. If we get spark out of this thing, I might be able to put gas in it and get it running. Now you do have another option. You can upgrade it. You can take this old carbatrator assembly off and you can upgrade it to the newer one with the primer bulb that they got on the newer motors. You can take this carbatrator and gas tank assembly off and it'll fit on that old 1970 motor. So we'll go over that too. Chances are this is the original air filter from 1970. Look at it. It's just falling apart. It's nasty. So we'll put a new air filter in it. We'll clean that up, put a new air filter in it. First thing I want to do is get to the coil. We can lube that up, hit that with a little lubricant. This starter clutch is a little sticky. Have to hit that with some lubricant. Now there's a little hole in the end. And there's a little wick down in there. So that'll help. Now if you've seen in some of my other videos, I go over this starter clutch. So if you have one of these with a starter clutch and it's squealing real loud and kicking the rope out, you can try oiling it, but sometimes that doesn't always work. Sometimes you got to take the starter clutch off and clean that shaft. That shaft is probably all gummy under there. So we'll do that. We'll check that since we're going to be in here messing around. Okay, not everybody's going to have this tool, but it is handy to have, especially if you're doing a lot of lawnmower repair. This starter clutch removal tool from Briggs. If you're working on this older stuff, you should have one of these. There's the part number there if you want to try to source one through the inner screen. So let's take that starter clutch off. Because it just threads on there. Okay, this isn't too dirty. I've seen where this shaft has got real dirty and sticky, and that's what makes this hang up. And then I don't know if the cameraman can see, but you can see that little wick down in there. And then you got this cup washer. This has got a little cup to it. It's like a spring washer. But when you do the Magnetron thing, you don't have to take the points out. You can leave the points in there. And make sure you get that starter clutch tight. Because if you don't, it'll shear the flywheel key and throw your timing off. And check your flywheel key too if you have this off. Take a look down there. We didn't look at it, but I'm sure it's good on a tiller. It'd be kind of hard to shear a flywheel key on a tiller unless you didn't have the starter clutch. On a lawnmower, yeah, because you hit stuff and you could shear it, but there's only thing on this is a belt. So let's pull the coil off. Now you got two wires under here. One's the kill wire and the other one's the coil wire that goes to the points. So we want to cut those wires with a pair of cutters. Tandy, put down them cutters. And we're going to need this kill wire because we're going to want to kill it, so we're going to cut that too. If you want to replace the points, go ahead and watch my points replacement video. Clean those laminates up. And also, clean the magnets. Sand them. Get them clean. Okay, in the kit comes the module, a new kill wire, a flywheel key, and the instructions on how to install it. But I'm going to show you how to install it so you don't need the instructions. You're going to need a soldering gun. You don't have to have it, it'll work, but it's better if you solder the wires like they tell you. Now some of these kits, depending on when it was made, this little part here that we're going to push in to hook our wires to, sometimes that part comes separate and you'd have to put that spring on and all that. But on this one you don't. It's already assembled. So, got to have about 3 inches of this coil wire coming out. Then you got to strip it back, which I did with my stripper. But it's got that cloth in there, so we want to snip that away. And this coil wire has like a varnish on it. You have to get that off. That's a protective coating. See how it's two different colors? It's red and it's kind of silver. That's from the strippers. So you got to get that off of there. So I'm going to use a X-Acto knife. You could use sandpaper or whatever you have, pocket knife. But you want to get that off. Got to get it off of there, because that's insulation, that coating they put on the wire. You got to get that off. Okay, got it all nice and clean. Then you got a ground wire. So now you got to install the module. If you notice, you got rivets on one side, and then that's the other end of the rivet on the other. That's the side you want to install it. Just push it on. You got to push it real hard until this thing clips onto here. You got to get that little leg to clip on top of there. There we go. Then you take this wire and your kill wire, and we're going to stick them all together with this wire that's in here. And you have to use a 3/16 punch so you can push up on this clamp. And then you stick the wire in there. Oop, that one jumped out. Let me get the kill wire in there. No, I'll get the coil wire. There we go. Now, they want you to solder all 3 of them together. So, we didn't leave enough hanging out, so I'm going to strip it back so we got plenty sticking out, and then we're going to solder them. So I'm going to take it, but that's how you put it. If you don't, it'll work if you don't solder these, but they recommend you solder them. So let's strip this back a little further. It's been about 40 years since I installed one of these modules. Remember when they came out in the 80s at my brother Farrell's shop. We were installing these things all the time. If a mower came in, needed points condenser, we just put one of these Magnetrons on there. Then eventually they just came out with the whole coil. Then you could just replace the coil. You didn't need the Magnetron. Alright, that's better. We got more wire now. Gotta have something to solder to. Kind of twist them together if you can. And then if you got a soldering gun, which I do, all I need is the solder, and solder them together. Now we gotta wait 2 minutes for it to heat up. Alright, now you got, this is a ground wire off the module, and this is the ground wire off the coil. So they want you to take them and give them 2 twists. Make sure the little eyelets line up, because you got to use them. And then they want you to solder this too, right where you twisted it together. Try not to breathe in that smoke coming off that soldering gun, because that's not good. Alright, now, hopefully this is a good coil. We didn't test it, we had no way of testing it. So if you do all this and you got no spark, chances are the coil's bad. So let's cross our fingers and hope this is good. So now we got to route our wires around, because we're going to have to put our screw back in there, like so. And then we're going to route our kill wire. Make sure the ground wire coming off the module does not touch any of these other wires that you put into here. They got to be separate. Because this kill wire, when it goes to ground, is going to kill the spark to the module. And another thing they want you to do, now that we got it soldered, we could snip these little ends off. Kind of tuck that to the side. They suggest you take some silicone and silicone this up where this connection is, to keep water and stuff from getting in there. So now we can go stick it in. Well, we don't need this eyelet. I'm going to cut that off. Now we can stick it back on the garden scratcher, set our air gap, hook up our kill wire, and see if we got spark. Alright, I'm going to pop this kill switch off of here. It just snaps in. We're going to pull that out. It's just a tab you push down to release it. I know it's dirty. Gotta remember, this thing's from 1970. you don't believe me, look at the code date on the blower shroud. Go ahead, look at the code date. Oh, that's right, you can't see it through your screen. Ha! So I'm going to feed the kill wire through. I want that ground wire on this side, because the other side's got the air vane. Ain't gonna make it. It's alright, I'll just put the grounds under the air vane. Make sure the grounds don't come into contact. See, it still moves. Put the grounds under there. I thought I was going to be able to get it over here, but gotta remember, haven't done this in 40 years. I clean the magnets, line up the magnets with the coil, put your 10 or 12 thousandths in there, and the magnet will suck it tight up against there. That's our air gap. We need our air gap. 10, 12, 15. Okay. Let's see if we got any spark. Make sure you get your wire through that little bent up part on the cover. I've seen where people put the cover on and get the coil wire pinched between these two metal pieces, and then it's got no spark. Oh yeah, we got spark. Look at that, hot spark. All right. Let me spray some lubricant in here. Gel lube. Put the 3 screws back in. Let me go grab a new spark plug. Alright, I haven't hooked up the kill wire yet. I'm just going to leave that hanging. And I put a new plug. J19LM is what I use. And I'm going to go around and check the head bolts. Make sure they're snug. They're a little loose. That one, usually around the exhaust valve they loosen up, because it gets real hot and the bolts will stretch. That one was tight. But it don't hurt just to go around and give them a little turn if you have to. You don't have to go crazy. Alright. Now, I'm going to give it a little shot. And let's see if it'll start. Got it on flash, full throttle. Hey, it's a good sign, ain't it? Alright. Let's put some gas in it. Maybe we can get it to run. Alright, I'm going to go ahead, hook up the kill wire, push down on that tab. It's kind of hard. bend that wire over and shove it up in there and snap it back into place. See how it snaps in there? Alright, I got it on fast. We'll put some dinosaur juice in it. And on these old auto choke carburatators, you gotta have the air filter screw in there. You can't run it without the air filter screw. So, will it run? Let's find out. Man, the tank was clean, surprisingly. It did have a little bit of, I don't know what it was. It didn't look like gas, it might have been, but blew that out and put some fresh dinosaur juice in there and it started. Isn't that amazing? I know what you're all thinking. Taryl, we might see you go through that carbatrator. Go through the carbatrator on it. Okay, I will. Two bolts, just like on the lawnmowers. And then slide it off and undo that throttle link. And you got a little spacer back there. Huh. This is somebody's using a 1/8 pipe coupling for a spacer. That's a pretty nifty idea, because they must have lost the spacer. Check the tube, always check the intake tube. Make sure it ain't loose. And it's fine. Now that we got it off, I can tuck my kill wire in there a little better. Check that tube. Alright, so it's pretty dirty. These are the good old carburetors because you can actually adjust it. But like I said, if you wanted to upgrade it to the new one with the primer, or maybe you want to keep it original like this. You know, you don't want to upgrade it. You want to keep it original. So I'm going to show you how to rebuild this carburator and a couple of little tricks that Briggs had back in the day. I gotta remove these 5 screws. You also gotta have the air filter screw out. Pretty simple carburator. They still make the diaphragm for this. I thought I had some in stock, but I didn't, so we're just gonna have to use this one over. At the time of the filming, I didn't have one, but they still make it. Take this little cover off the side. There's a little arm for the diaphragm, for the auto choke. Underneath this cover, the little arm for the auto choke. So take a screwdriver after you get all the screws out. Get up under there and you can pop that off. And you got to undo that to undo the arm from the auto choke. You can pull the carburator out. So here's your pickup screens. See, there was some stuff in there, so good thing we did take it apart even though it ran. And somebody had installed this little dowel, this little roll pin dowel. This little roll pin, I'm going to talk about that. There's a kit they came up with. And here's your spring and cap for the fuel pump. That went in there. Just like on the Briggs 5-horse, they have that. And then here's your diaphragm. She'll peel off of there. Because we got to reuse this one. And if you notice right here, I'm going to show you a new one. There's a little Teflon washer. So when these carbratrators were made originally, this little roll pin with this Teflon washer was not on here. So what happened over time was gas. See, the gas fills up in here. And this little pocket here has to stay dry. So what was happening was gas was leaking past the diaphragm and getting into this little pocket. And it was keeping that auto choke system from working properly. So Briggs came up with this fix, which is a Teflon washer, and I'll get you the part number for that. Comes in a kit. You gotta buy like 10 of them. I don't know how many of these you're still gonna be using, but that's what you would do. You would put that roll pin in there with that washer, then you'd put your new diaphragm on. So that little washer's just like a little spacer to help keep the gas from getting in this pocket. So there's a little bit of crud down in there. So you're going to want to clean that out. And then this is your pickup tubes. So to explain how this works, it works the same way on the 5-horse. Like this old 5-horse motor I got in front of me here. Same thing. Works the same way. You got 2 tubes that go down in there. Got this cover and there's a diaphragm under there. That's the fuel pump. So this tube pulls the gas up out of the carbatrator and dumps it into here. This is like your float bowl, this area here. And if you notice, it's cut out to go back into the tank. So once the motor starts running, this thing, this is the fuel pump, is pumping the gas, dumping it in here. And then when this fills up, the gas runs back into the tank. So it like recirculates. So that's how that works. And then this is your main pickup tube, which picks the fuel up and sprays it into the throat of the carburetor. And that's what makes it run. That's where your gas comes in through here. And this is your adjustment screw, which adjusts the way the motor runs. Adjusts how much the flow of the gas. So we're going to take this off and look inside there too. So a 1/2-inch wrench will take that off, and then behind it is a brass fitting, and that'll unscrew. They make a special screwdriver for this Briggs, but a regular one will work. And then there'll be 2 little holes behind this. I don't know if the cameraman can see down in there. Maybe I could shine a light in there. There's a big hole and a little hole. So you're going to want to make sure those are clear. In case you're doing a carburetor that's really dirty and you want to salvage it, you're going to want to take it apart. So you're going to want to know what's back there. So we kind of cleaned this in the parts cleaner, but I'm going to clean it some more. I'm going to blow it, spray some carb spray through it, and blow through it real good. Okay, we got the carburetor all nice and clean. Got all those little holes down there rotted out. We blew through here, made sure that air came out of there. So everything seems to be good. We know it was good because it was running, but in case you're doing one, here's that special screwdriver I was telling you about. It's just a fat screwdriver for putting these jets in and out. I don't know what the part number is. I've had this thing for over 40 years. We should have replaced the diaphragm, but like I said, I don't have one. But the number for this one is 391681. And then I was telling you, this is that kit, Carb Repair. 391413. But you gotta buy 10 of them. And I doubt if any local dealers got it. You get 10 of them, and here's those little washers, those little Teflon washers come on this sheet. Still available. Oh, lost one of them. Them things just, they're like gold. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? All right. So I installed that. Got to put our cup and spring back in there. Put our diaphragm on. And we're going to want to hold it so that it don't pop out on us. Get the spring in that cup. Make sure it goes in that little cup. Then you got to get it over that pin. Okay, so now you have to put a preload on this spring. So we want to hook this in, and we're going to want to put that cover back on to keep that little arm from jumping out. Now I don't know if they still do. They used to give you instructions with the diaphragm to tell you how to do all this. So what you're supposed to do is put a screwdriver or something in here, and you want to hold this butterfly past, you want to hold it past there, see? You want it to go all the way past. So usually a screwdriver works. Then you put your screws in. And then you would tighten it down. Ah, look, I found a little washer stuck to my finger. Get back in there, little dude. Now you want to tighten them down. See how that is? You got to have it past. You're preloading that auto choke. You know, now they got all different kind of auto chokes. So if you got a newer mower that's got auto choke, that ain't nothing new. This is their first version of auto choke. And it worked. It was still working. I like these old carbratrators that you can adjust. I don't like these fixed jet ones. So you tighten them down, and then when you pull this out, it's supposed to go back. If it doesn't, you got something wrong. See, it's supposed to close. So it should work like that. Now we'll put this in. Another thing, whenever you put these screws in, make sure you back it off before you put it in. Because if you were messing with this, say you took it apart to change that O-ring that's in here, and you screwed it back together, and say you screwed it in too far, when you go to tighten this nut down, you're going to jam that needle against that brass fitting that's in there. And you're going to ruin this needle. So back it off, just to be safe. Screw that in, snug it up. You don't have to go crazy tight. Now you can set it. Turn it all the way until it stops. Don't force it. See, it stopped right there. I always go a little back and forth. Half, one full turn, half. 1.5 turns. That's your starting point. And again, you gotta have this in there when you're gonna go to run it. Let's pop it back on, put dinosaur juice in it, and see if it starts again. 1970 tiller, will it run again? Got dinosaur juice in it. So remember, when you're adjusting a carburetor, it's just like a gas valve or like a water faucet valve. You want more gas or more water, you open the valve. You want less gas or less water, you close the valve. So 1.5 was a good starting point. It ran fine there, but I just wanted to show you, you turn it in, you hear it kind of slow down, okay, needs more gas, and then I opened it up a little further, and then I kind of went in the middle, like a happy medium. But at least with this kind of carburetor, you can always get in there and fine tune it if you have to with a screwdriver. So now, Scruffy wanted this cable fixed. So I'm gonna have to take this off, and I'm gonna put a new piece of wire in there. All right, this is gonna be easy because I just gotta cut the Z end off and then pull the wire out. Now they sell this wire in Conduit by itself. I don't know if your local dealer will have it, but you can buy it. So luckily, we don't have to mess with the cable. All we gotta do is just put a new wire in. Alright, here's the wire. I get mine from Rotary, part number's 245. I keep this wire up in my old bedroom. Now that I got a house out there, I don't have to sleep with them parts no more. So, make sure I cut me off enough. And then get yourself a Z-bender. This is a handy dandy tool to have too. This little Z-bender. Stick it in. Turn it, bend it over, turn it. Turn it up. There it is, Z-bend. So now I got to get the Z in there, but luckily this comes apart, so I just got to take that apart. Okay, all the way back is the shortest the cable would be. When I push it forward, it makes the cable long. So I'm going to pull it all the way back to where it's at its shortest point. And then also that's stop position. And then I'll put it there to kind of gauge it where I want to bend my other Z-bend. About right there, I'm going to cut it. Then again with the Z-bender, bend it, turn it, bend it the other way. There's your Z-bend. Now I'm going to stick it under the clamp. Got it all the way against it for stop. Now I'm going to oil these cables with some gel lube, which you can get at our online store at tarylfixesall.bigcartel.com. So just spray it on the outside and it'll seep through. It'll seep through the conduit. Unless you got plastic coated conduit, but this has no plastic. Now I'm going to do this one too for the clutch. Okay. Now I gotta wipe my hands off. I got gel lube all over them. Okay. 1970 Hahn Tiller. Will it run for a third time? And will it till? Let's find out. Okay, we got it running. 1970 Hahn Tiller. Now all I gotta do is put a new air filter in. I'm gonna run it, get it hot, suck out all that nasty oil, and then put some fresh oil in. So, don't forget, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook, go to our store, buy our stuff, and as always, there's your dinner on this old stuff. Woo! Hahn 1970 Tiller. Woo! I mean garden scratcher. All right, another thing you need to check on this old garden scratcher is the gearbox. And I know y'all like tools. Get yourself a set of 8-point sockets. 8-point sockets are for these square heads. They come in handy instead of trying to stick a wrench on there. An open end wrench, 8-point, the way to go. Smells a little ammonia-y, so I'm probably going to change that. Put some fresh 90 weight gear oil in there. And I'll do that just by tipping it forward, let it drain overnight, refill it to the bottom of the threads here. It's full. You can see it's got plenty in there. And then I'll refill it. That way it'll have fresh gear lube in there for Scruffy when you come to pick it up. Okay, Scruffy, here's your garden scratcher all ready to go.
This ain't my tiller. Mine was a little bit bigger.
Bigger? No, this is yours. I washed it. That's why it probably looks bigger. It's all clean now.
Oh, okay. Well, how much is this gonna cost me?
Well, you know this old antique stuff comes at a price. $300 is what it costs to fix it, Scruffy.
Wow, $300. I don't have any money, but what I do have is Chuck E. Cheese prize tickets. A whole 5-gallon bucket full. You can get anything you want out of that glass case. What do you say?
Did you say you had a whole 5-gallon bucket full of them tickets?
Whole 5-gallon bucket full.
I'll take you up on that deal. There's a stuffed animal in that glass case I've been wanting for a long time. And I haven't even been able to get close to winning that thing. So yeah, I'll take your tickets. You got yourself a deal.
Before I can make the deal, will it run?
Oh, it'll run. Now let's go outside and get them tickets.